Promotion and relegation from the Championship. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys the 3 teams which I think is going to go up and the 3 teams which I think are going to go down. Let me know down in the comment section of today's video, guys, the 3 teams which you think will go up and down as well. With not many games left in the season, who's going to go up, who's going to go down? Let's have a talk about it in today's video. So, firstly, let's talk about the teams that are actually down at the bottom of the Championship. Now, for me, there's only 4 teams to talk about. All the teams 16th and above are pretty much safe in my opinion. So, let's talk about these 4 sides. Reading, Peterborough, Barnsley and Derby. So, let's kick off with Derby. We all know they had the points deductions this season. So did Reading as well. But Derby have been hit a lot more. Now, if they didn't have those point deductions, they would be pretty much comfortable in mid-table, you know. Barnsley and Peterborough really haven't gave the Championship a good go this season. Barnsley's obviously been the biggest shock to everyone because of how well they did last season. Peterborough is probably not a surprise really, because you know they have been a bit of a yo-yo club from League One to the Championship. You know, for some reason they just can't really do it in the Championship. But this year I thought they would give it a much better go. I always had goals in that side, in my opinion, with Marriott, you know, Clark Harris, you know, and obviously the players around those 2 individuals who can score goals. But for me, it's been the defence that's really let them down. They've had goalkeeping problems as well during the season. They've had a manager change as well, Peterborough. But, you know, they haven't really given it a proper good go, in my opinion. But as I already said, let's talk about Derby first. So, yes, point deductions haven't helped at all. And if I'm being honest, I do feel sorry for Rooney out of everyone, because I feel like fair play for him for sticking through it all. But unfortunately, I just don't think he can do the job now. I think it really, you know, when they got hit with the point deductions, it was an impossible job from that point onwards. But then they had a fighting chance. They were getting like wins. They were getting late equalisers. You know, the momentum's there. And it's still not over. But I just think the gap's just too much now. And the point deductions now, it's just going to get even worse. The more games they just do not win, it's just going to get harder and harder for Derby. So I just don't think they've got it in them. And I do think Derby is one of my teams that will go down from the Championship this season. Now, I always predict Reading to go down from the Championship. I always predict them. I just never think they have enough. But somehow they always manage to put it off. Now, this season, if they didn't have Swift in their side, I do not think they would be where they are on the table. I do think they would be in the bottom 3. For me, Swift has carried Reading for the last couple of seasons. And it has been like a miracle that he's still at the football club. He is out of contract in the summer and I do see him going. But the fact that he's still at the football club just amazes me, really. But in my opinion, he's the reason why Reading are above relegation places. Every time I watch him play, he's just absolutely fantastic. He controls games. He's a really good footballer. And there'll be no surprise to see him in a much better team next season. But Reading, I think, have been quite lucky. Despite the point deductions, they are sitting above the relegation places. But because of how poor Barnsley and Peterborough have been, you know, they've kind of been off the hook, really. And if obviously Derby didn't have those point deductions, Reading would be in the bottom 3. So I feel like Reading, they're obviously still in the mix, but I feel like they're going to get away with it. I really do, because of, I just don't know how they do it, but they get wins. Pullins is obviously the manager now. Very arrogant manager, in my opinion. He always comes out on TV and says, I can do a much better job. I should be having the Man United job and stuff like that. But, you know, I think they're going to do it, Reading. I do think they're going to stay up, because I just don't think Barnsley and Peterborough are competing enough. But then again, Barnsley, we know what happened, you know, 2 seasons ago. You know, they managed to pull off this great escape. For me, it's not the great escape, because Wigan obviously got what happened to them with the point deductions. That's not, for me, that's not a great escape. What was the great escape that season was Luton actually staying up from the Championship. Yeah, I'm a bit biased because I am a Luton fan, but Barnsley got lucky that year. If Wigan never had what they did, they would have, obviously Barnsley would have went down. But anyway, that's in the past. So they do have it in them, Barnsley. You know, they know when to get a win. I remember they got, you know, points at Brentford on the last game of the season. So they can get points against the much better sides. Recently as well, they gave Fulham a good go. So they've got it in them to do well. And obviously Peterborough, as I mentioned earlier, do have goals in them. However, I do think it's going to be the current 3 that are currently in the relegation places that will go down. I think Reading have just done enough, and I feel like when you look at all their games which they've got coming up, all 4 teams actually have a similar run-in. Like they all got to play that odd hard team. They all got to play teams that are on holiday. So, and they got to play each other as well at some point. So some massive games coming up, but I feel like the run-in's all very similar, and I just feel like the table will stay as it is. Now, let's move on to the teams that are at the top of the Championship. Now, Fulham, they're currently top of the Championship. They've done a fantastic job this season. I didn't think Fulham would win the Championship this year. If I'm being honest with you, I didn't think their defence was strong enough to be title contenders. But yet, they've proved me wrong. They've got a really good defence. Hector at the back, you know, he's performing really well for them. And then, obviously, you look at what's going forward for Fulham. Mitrovic in the Championship, it's like having a cheat code. You've got Harry Wilson in behind him as well, causing teams all sorts of problems. You know, Marcus Silva has done a fantastic job. You know, Marcus Silva, brilliant. You know, he gets a mixed reviews from fan bases because, you know, Hull fans loved him. They wish he had a little bit longer, so they reckon he could have kept him up. And then some teams didn't like him. Watford didn't really, you know, it went a little bit there with Watford. But Fulham, he's proper kicked on and he's done a fantastic season. And it doesn't, like, I don't think Fulham have actually got as much praise as they should have done, really. Obviously, yeah, we look at Mitrovic and go, you know, that's the reason why they're doing well. But they've done a really good job this season for them. And there's not really any teams competing with Fulham. Yes, Bournemouth are behind them. But in my opinion, Bournemouth actually haven't had the best of seasons. I know that sounds crazy. They're sitting second in the Championship. But with the players they've got, they should be competing with Fulham right until the end. And they're actually not, it baffles me. And if you look at Bournemouth's running as well, they have got one of the toughest run-ins I've ever seen, I think, at this point in the season. They've got to play so many difficult teams in and around the playoffs, teams at the bottom as well. You know, they've got a really hard run-in. And if they, obviously, I do think Bournemouth will finish second in the Championship because of that squad which they've got. Solanke, you know, Bidding as well, Cahill at the back. They have a fantastic squad. And for me, it's baffling that they haven't competed with Fulham enough. Obviously, for me, Fulham are definitely going up. They've won the league, in my opinion. They're running as well. It's not as difficult as, you know, Bournemouth's and Luton's running. So, for me, they have got it, you know, easy. Fair play to Fulham. And it has been I think it's been a poor Championship this season. You know, it hasn't, teams at the bottom haven't really properly competed with the teams in the Championship. And then the teams above, you know, not many teams challenging for, you know, for the title, which has been a real shame this year. But, you know, you can only play what's in front of you at the end of the day. But anyway, Fulham, for me, at the top, they're going up. You know, they've won the league. Bournemouth, as I mentioned, you know, they have games in hand as well, which is a massive plus. But they have, obviously, a tough running, as I've said. But I do think Bournemouth will go up because, obviously, the team in third, which is my team, Luton, I don't think we've got enough in us to compete with Bournemouth. We've also got a difficult run-in ourselves. So it's going to be hard for us. We've got to play a few teams which are down at the bottom. I think more than what Bournemouth have to do as well. And also, we don't play many teams that are actually on holiday, as I want to say. You know, teams that have got nothing to play for. And that's what's going to make it really tough for us. For me, the one thing that's stopping Luton challenging Bournemouth is the fact that injuries, you know, for a team like Bournemouth, if they have a couple of injuries, they're fine. If Luton have a couple of injuries, it's a lot worse because we're dealing with what we've currently got. You know, we don't have, you know, 10 fantastic, you know, Premier League players at our disposal, which Bournemouth potentially have. You know, that's the difference. You know, Bournemouth have got players who've had Premier League experience. We don't. You know, Bournemouth have got a Champions League winner in their back four, back five, back three, whatever they play. You know, Luton have, you know, League One players that have managed to make the step up to the Championship. So it's going to be even tough for us. But I just don't think we've got enough to challenge for the second place. But I do think we will finish in those playoff places. Do I think Luton will go up? No. And I'm being honest here. I don't think we'll go up. I think we'll give it a good go. I would love, obviously, Luton to prove me wrong like they have done all season. We've had a fantastic second half of the season. But unfortunately, our record in the playoffs just does not give me any hope. If we get to the final, you know, then anything can happen. But it would be like a dream to obviously get promotion to the promised land. But I just don't think it's going to happen this season. Let's talk about the other teams that are in the playoff places. Huddersfield have been another team that has surprised me considering on what happened last year. I believe they just recruited really well. At the back, they're really solid. I remember when Luton played against them, and you know, at the back they were just really good. You know, I think going forward they didn't really offer too much, but I think at the back that's what's really helped them. And you know, when a team gets promotion to another division, you need a good, you know, back four, back five, back three that can actually, you know, stabilise that and obviously make you push on up the table. And that's what I think Huddersfield have actually got this season. They've got a really solid defence, and that's why they are where they currently are in the Championship. If we look at Blackburn, they had a fantastic first half of the season. Obviously, Diaz scoring a lot of goals and being on another level and showing everyone what he can actually do, and showing why Blackburn paid that price tag for him. But second half of the season they've had injuries, and you know, squad depth hasn't been good enough for them, and they're the reason why they're slowly, you know, coming out of those playoff places and not really competing well enough to, you know, claim a playoff place, in my opinion. Sheffield United, obviously a manager change halfway through the season. I thought that was a bad idea for them. I don't know why they did that, but that squad is good. It's a good Championship side, you know. It's got plenty of good players, very experienced players, goals in it, you know. But defence is solid as well. Midfield's good, you know. For me, they should have done a lot better this year. They should have been competing with the likes of Bournemouth and also Fulham for the title. Moving on to Middlesbrough, obviously everything has now changed since Wilder has come in at Middlesbrough. Obviously under Warnock, you know, old-fashioned manager. He's just, I don't think his tactics now work in today's football. It works for a bit, but you know, throughout the whole season, it just doesn't work in every game. And Wilder, he plays fantastic style of football. He's done well at every single club he's been at, Wilder. I don't think he should have got sacked at Sheffield United. I think he deserved another opportunity to keep them up, but obviously, you know, relationship with the top, with the board, you know, it was turning sour, and he left for a good reason. Now, he's just changing things at Middlesbrough. He's making them a really good team, a hard team to beat as well. But I don't think they're that difficult to beat. I think I can only do it from watching like Middlesbrough from when Luton played against Middlesbrough. And first game we played against them, I thought, yes, easily we was the much better side. Second game, we just weren't on it. And I felt like if we were on it, we could have gave Middlesbrough a good game and, you know, probably got something out of it. So, you know, Middlesbrough, they will be in and around the playoffs from obviously now to the end of the season, and I do see them actually claiming a playoff place as well. Looking at the other teams that are, you know, floating around those playoff places, you've got QPR, Forest and Millwall. Millwall, you know, typical Gareth Rowett, you know, that defence has always been good for them. I just don't think going forward they've got enough in them to claim a playoff place. They are getting results and they are nicking a few results. You know, Wallace being a key player in all of that, but I just don't think they're going to have enough to get into those playoff places. Forest, this is where I do think they will claim a playoff place, in my opinion. Forest, for me, under Cooper, it's just been fantastic. Now, under Houghton, you know, I actually thought they were going to get a playoff place under Houghton, because Houghton, for me, is a good manager. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out, and they obviously departed ways. Cooper's come in. Now, we all know how good of a job Cooper did at Swansea under a restricted transfer budget and not many good players. He turned him into a really good side, a good Championship side. He's now left, and you can actually see what the difference between Swansea have been under him and without, you know. So, and then obviously since coming to Forest, he's hit the ground running. The players are playing well. He's brought in a few good ones in as well in January. You know, everything about what Cooper has done at Forest has just been fantastic. And for that reason, I do think they are going to claim a playoff place. And with the momentum which they're bringing into those playoffs, it's dangerous, because that team that brings that momentum into those playoff places, it's very dangerous for any championship side, because momentum can get you very far. You know, it's just when does that momentum stop? And if it doesn't stop from now to the end of the season, then a lot of teams are in trouble. And then obviously, last thing we need to talk about is QPR. QPR, for me, they've got goals in them. Andre Gray, Charlie Austin, Willock, but unfortunately Willock has now got a massive injury. I think what's stopping QPR from claiming a playoff position is going to be injuries. They've had a few injuries now to key players, and just like Luton as well, when you have a few of your good players that get injured, you're in a sticky situation against these teams that have got, you know, depth and quality, you know, like your Sheffield Uniteds, like your Middlesbroughs, like your Foresters. You know, they've got that quality compared to, you know, your QPRs and your Lutons, and that for me is the reason why I don't think QPR will claim a playoff position. So the 4 teams that I do think will claim a playoff position will be my team, Luton. I do think Sheffield United will claim a playoff place, Middlesbrough, and also Nottingham Forest. Now, as a Luton fan, I don't know who I would actually prefer out of those 4 sides. Probably Middlesbrough, if I'm being honest with you. But then again, it's going to be difficult. It doesn't matter who you play. It's the playoffs. It is a lottery at times. And yeah, those are the 4 teams which I think will claim a playoff position. And obviously Fulham and Bournemouth going up. The team which I think will go to Wembley and win the playoff final, for me, is just Forest. I just think Forest have that momentum. And I think this is going to be their year. I really do. I think what Cooper's done at the club is fantastic, and if they don't go up this year, then next year they are going to be one hell of a team to try and beat, because Cooper will build a really good side. He will. I have strong beliefs that they will have a good recruitment in the summer, and yeah, Forest will definitely be the team to look out for next year, 100% if they don't go up. But I do believe they are the team now to go up. You know, like Leeds, you know, they've been in the Championship for many years now, and then Leeds got their time to go up. I think this year it's Nottingham Forest's time to go up now, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, that is the end of this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy me just chatting and just, yeah. Sorry if I chatted too much. You know, I know you guys like these long videos at times, but you know, here they are. So, and I apologise it took so long to make. You know, sometimes I just need to get a few notes down, and it just makes the video a lot better for you guys. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy it, drop a like. Comment below, as I mentioned at the start of the video, your top 3 teams to go up and your top and your bottom 3 to go down from the Championship. Let me know down in the comment section of the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow me across my social media, all the links are down in the description below. And guys, I'll see you in the next video.